Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Nicholas Kress, and I am the Assistant Director of Marketing and Student Outreach, and I'll be your host today for our on-campus living information Q&A here. Before we get started with introductions for everybody who is on our panel, at the bottom of your screen if you're on a computer, or on the top of your screen if you're on a phone, there's going to be a little chat box that says Q&A. It'll have a little thought bubble with a question mark right in the top of it. If you click on that, you can start asking any questions that you might have that you want somebody on the panel to answer. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and have all the panelists introduce themselves and talk about what they are going to be able to answer questions on.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Daniel Urrutia. I am part of the housing operations team here at the University of Idaho, and I can help answer any questions regarding your housing application, rooms, accommodations, meal plans, how to pick them, pretty much anything in between.
Hello, my name's Toby Minnick. I'm one of the Wallace resident directors. Really, my area of expertise is in the resident experience, the resident assistance, and sort of roommate, that kind of stuff.
Hi, I'm Eldon Nelson, the marketing director for Idaho Eats. We take care of all the food and dining here on campus. So if you have any questions on how meal plans work, what the food is like on campus, all of our different lingo like gold meals and such, I can help you, navigate that world and enjoy eating here on campus.
Hi, I'm Nick Schwartz. I'm the customer service lead for the Parking and Transportation Office, and I can help answer questions about parking permits, the Vandal Brake Bus, and bikes on campus.
Awesome. Thank you all, and thank you for being here to be panelists on today's Q&A. As I started out the webinar with, if you have any questions you would like to ask, please go ahead and click on the Q&A button. It'll be at the bottom of your screen if you're on a computer, or at the top of your screen if you are on a phone or a mobile device. And if you click on that, you'll be able to ask questions, and we will answer as many as we can live. Time is short, and we only have about 30 minutes for the webinar. So we also have Emily, who is going to be in the background and answering questions that we are unable to answer live. Or if there's any in-depth specific questions, Emily will be the go-to person to answer some of those. So with that, why don't we go ahead and get started with a question? It looks like our first question is going to be for Eldon. Eldon, somebody wants to know, where are they going to eat on campus?
So our main spot that we have people eating at campus is at the Wallace building, which is where the eatery is. We have multiple stations in there with different types of food, like our home style station with the classic cooking. We have global, so we have some of our global cuisines there. We've done every other Friday with our own Mongolian grill, which is like Hoo Hut. We always have pizza and ice cream available for people like that, but we also have the healthy stuff available every day at our Fresh 52, which is the salad bar and kind of more of the healthier options there at the very focal point of the eatery. Then we have up at the iSub our retail dining locations like Qdoba, Chick-fil-A, Firehouse Subs, Ace Sushi. We also have our own True Burger. They're next to Tower Lawn, next to our 24-hour marketplace, which you can use your Vandal card to get into the market and get anything you need for your late night studying. If you get hungry, just takes your Vandal card to get in, and checkout is seamless with our Mashin, so you don't have to have someone there when you're checking out. Then True Burger's Smash Burger, great place to eat. Use your gold meal with your dining meals, as well as Vandal Brew if you want to get some coffee on campus and shop at the bookstore. And we also do concessions, so when you're at your Vandal football game and Vandal basketball game, you'll have great food options to enjoy those events. But that's dining here on campus.
That's awesome. And Eldon, that leads me to a question that I'm actually going to ask Toby, because, working for Idaho Eats, I know what your answer is going to be. But Toby, can you talk about how is the food here? I know you've got a meal plan and you eat frequently on campus.
Yes, I mean, so I have a meal plan as a staff member, but also a meal plan as a resident, and I'm a big dining hall fan. I think that Eldon kind of glossed over the staples, but like the make to order burgers, I'm a big fan of. The ice cream that we got like a couple of years ago has been like such a huge part of the meal plan. So I'm a big fan of that. And when I was a resident, Einstein bagel for breakfast before walking up to class. It's like right in the middle of campus. I liked that quite a bit. So I don't know. I like eating here.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Toby. Next question, we're going to go to Daniel. Daniel, we've got somebody on the call who is interested in a Greek or fraternity and sorority life opportunity potentially. What's the process if they, decide that maybe it's not for them and decide to live in the residence halls? Can you talk a little bit about that process?
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, definitely explore your living options here at the University of Idaho. We would love to have you in the residence halls, but we understand that there's opportunities to join a fraternity or sorority while you're attending the university. So if you go through recruitment, decide that it's not for you, or change your mind, or decide that you want to live in the residence halls but still try to be a part of Greek life, definitely go for it. If you decide that that's not for you, you're still more than welcome to join us in the residence halls. We don't have a deadline on when you can apply for housing. The application stays open pretty much all semester long, usually until about the last few weeks of the semester. But yeah, if you decide you want to join us here in the residence halls, you're more than welcome to do that. If you already have an application in process, already have a room, you don't necessarily need to do anything at the moment. You can still go through recruitment, keep your residence hall space, and then once you kind of decide after recruitment ends if you're going to go live in the chapter or if you're going to join us in the residence halls, then that's when you can submit your cancellation through that. If you've already previously canceled and need to basically uncancel your application, just reach out to us, and we can work with you on getting that reinstated and get you into the residence halls.
Excellent. So students really get to build their own adventure. They get to choose where they're going to live and whatnot, don't they?
Yeah. So, I mean, we kind of leave it up to you, but we're here to help answer any questions or provide any clarification.
That is great. Thank you. Okay, moving on to a parking question. Nick, can you talk to me? What is the signing up process for getting a parking permit, and when does that open up for students to select?
Good question. So permits are going to go on sale for students living in the dorms July 14th at 12 p.m. That's Moscow time. So if you live in a different time zone, make sure you accommodate for the different time zones. If you are living in the dorms, you're going to have two different permit options. They'll show up for you when you log in with your same credentials as your MyUI. Silver is one of them. It's $360 for the whole school year. And economy is the other option for you. It's $135 for the whole school year. It covers both fall and spring semesters. If you're planning on going through Rush, we get this question a lot. Those are going to go on sale the first Tuesday of August. We get an awesome list from our lovely folks at the FSO office of all students going through that. So it takes a little time to compose that list, so your permits go on sale a little bit later than everybody else's.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, another question for Eldon. Eldon, talk to me about gold meals. The name can be kind of confusing for some students. What are gold meals and how do they work? Oh, you're on mute, Eldon.
Sorry about that. Gold meals will be a meal exchange that you can do, and depending on what type of meal plan that you purchase, determines how many you get per week. So like Joe's Choice, you get 14 swipes a week into the eatery with your Vandal card. You also have 3 gold meals that you can exchange for those swipes at any of our retail locations. And the dollar value amount of that gold meal is $9. So you can go to Qdoba. We have gold meal plans or meals that you can get specifically for these. But also if you want to, widen out, I guess you could say, and get something a little bit bigger, or go steak and chicken and add something else to your tacos at Qdoba, you can just pay the difference of the $9 that your gold meal does. But it's an exchange. So if I use 3 of those gold meal exchanges for the Joe's Choice, then I'll be eating at the eatery 11 times that week instead of the 14. So that's how gold meals work, and we have them at Qdoba, Chick-fil-A, Firehouse Subs, True Burger, Einstein Brothers Bagels. So you can get some really great value there with your gold meals outside of just the eatery.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay. Toby, this question is going to be directed for you, but Daniel, jump in. I know both of you were students here at the university and lived in the residence halls. What are some items that you would suggest that students should bring to their dorms that they might not think of?
This is a really good question. It depends on who's asking this question, I think. But for me as a student, moving to the dorms, what I didn't think of was like laundry stuff, right? Suddenly you're in charge of having to do your own laundry things. You got to get the basket, the detergent, all of those things. And let me tell you, like, it is the worst thing ever to suddenly realize you have no clean clothes and you don't have any of those items, and then have to walk all the way down to your laundry room and pick them all up. So highly, highly recommend thinking about that before it becomes a problem.
That's a great point. Definitely having some of those necessities that you don't always think of because, they've always been at your house, right? You don't always have to go and buy them when you're out and about. So a little bit of adulting going on, right? Okay, Daniel, do you have anything to add to that as somebody who lived in the halls as a student?
I can't remember back that far. I'm a little old, but I know one of the big questions we typically get is questions about vacuum or cleaning supplies. So remember to kind of pack that, since kind of what Toby mentioned, you are on your own now. You're living that adult life in the residence halls. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a vacuum, but maybe like a Swiffer or something of that nature to kind of just tidy up your room, make it feel homey. And then kind of coordinating with your suite mates, roommates, depending on where you're living, to see what they're thinking about bringing as far as cleaning supplies, things like that. 'Cause sometimes, things get dirty, that toilet starts, not looking so good, and you want to make sure that gets clean. So something that some students tend to forget when they get to campus.
Did I understand that correctly, that some students may have to clean their own toilet?
Yeah, so if you're going to be living in the living learning communities, the LLCs, or anywhere in Wallace, since those bathrooms are basically semi-private, meaning you're sharing it with just you and your suite mates or roommates, it's your responsibility to clean those bathrooms. If you're going to be living in Theophilus Tower or McConnell Hall, since that is a community style bathroom, our custodial staff does clean that on a regular basis. So not necessarily having to worry about the bathrooms in those two buildings, but there's still some things within your room that you'll probably want to tidy up every now and then.
Excellent. Okay, and it looks like we've got a burning question, Nick, for you about parking. Is a car required for campus?
So a car is not necessarily required to be on campus. There are thousands of places to park your bike on campus if you'd like to bike. Smart Transit is also a free local city bus service that goes all throughout campus, has multiple stops, and also hits the east end of town and west end of town. You just hop on the bus basically right in front of the Wallace complex and go anywhere you would need to go. Walmart, Winco, Safeway, the mall. It's got to stop at the movie theater, and it's free and operates Monday through Saturday. So it's a great way to not have to have a car, save some money on some gas, and basically go anywhere you need to go.
Yeah, I know I had a student staff member a couple of years ago. She went all 4 years of her undergrad without having a car. And in fact, I don't even think she had a license until after a couple years after she was out of college. So yeah, the smart transit and bikes are great ways to get around campus.
And to add to that, with bikes, we help register them for free with Moscow Police Department. So if you bring a bike, bring it by our office. We can help you register that. We cover the cost of that at $7 through Moscow Police Department, but we help get your information. We get it to MPD, and then you got us, and MPD out looking for your bike if something were to happen to it.
Oh, that is fantastic. And definitely guessing a good bike chain is important to bring if you're going to have a bike on campus. Okay. Eldon, question for you. It looks like we've got a student who's going to be living in the residence halls and has already selected a meal plan, but may want to change their meal plan. Do you know where they can change that at?
Yeah, you can change it through Housing and Resident Life, and it's a lot easier to upgrade than downgrade. We're really flexible with being able to get people upgrade just with the way that the system is. Also, you have typically around 1 to 2 weeks in the beginning of the semester to change your plan. Like I said, it's always easy to upgrade you in the semester, but if you're going to downgrade, you're going to have to do that in the very beginning. You're going to be able to send that email. I believe it's housing@uidaho.edu. Is that correct, Nick?
Yeah, but I believe they can also do that in their housing portal, correct?
Yes. And do that before you bug the people via email. And I don't say bug like that. It's just a lot of this stuff, that the housing, a lot of us, especially in the beginning of the semester, are going to be getting a ton of emails. And so try your best in the portal, do everything you can in there before sending out that email. But we're always here to help get you through that. But yeah, that you have that first 2 weeks, I'll say. Usually we have people upgrading when they realize what the great value is with their meal plan and the opportunity to stay on campus more, save that time. So if you have any other questions, on what plan to get, let us know as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Eldon. Okay, next question for Toby. Toby, how are the residence halls organized? Are they co-ed? Are they single gender? And what about the bathrooms? Are they co-ed or single gender?
That is a really good question. And we sort of touched on it a little bit earlier in talking about those semi-private bathrooms versus those public bathrooms. So for a space like the tower, each floor has a public bathroom that's shared with everyone on the floor. And so everyone on the floor, it's a gendered floor. So you have male, female floors all sharing that public bathroom. That's similar with McConnell. However, in Wiley or Wallace and the LLCs, you're sharing the bathroom with sort of a set of rooms. So everyone in your suite or in that you're sharing the bathroom with will be of a similar gender. However, you might be on a floor with different suites of different genders, if that makes sense.
Excellent. That does. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Okay. Daniel, question for you. We have an individual who was assigned a roommate and wanted to know how to view their profile or connect with them in the housing portal. But then we also had a second question that's asking something along the same lines. When are roommates decided?
Yeah, definitely. So you can always log back into your housing portal and you can find your roommate and suite mate information in a couple different places. If you've completed your application, and all of that, you should see a My Housing tab within your housing portal that typically pops up once your application is completed. If you click on that, you will see your room information, and then just below that, you'll see your roommate and your suite mate information. So it typically will have their name, what room they're in, and then their student email. So you can reach out to them via email that way. And then from there, you can exchange other methods of contact that you prefer, whether that's Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok. I don't know what else the cool kids are using these days. Text messaging, phone number, WhatsApp, all the fun things. The other place that you can go to, and this is where you'll also be able to see their profile, is if you click back into your application. So just continue your application. And then on the application status page of your application, is where you'll see, again, your room information and then your roommate suite mate information. On there, again, it will also be their name, their email, their room, but then you should also see a link that says view profile. So if you didn't have a roommate when you initially applied for housing or booked your room, and you want to check that again, you can go in there, see their profile. Typically, sometimes if students wrote their bio, they'll include usually like their Snapchat handle or their Instagram handle. And you can reach out to them that way if you'd like, but you'll be able to see their profile and reach out to them and get to know them a little bit. But again, we always recommend reaching out to them as soon as you're able to. Sometimes not everyone's checking their student email during the summertime. So if you aren't checking that regularly right now, recommend that you do that just so that you're not missing some important information. Or, hey, how's it going? I'm your roommate, messages from your future roommates or suite mates.
Absolutely. People should definitely be checking their emails, a couple times a week. The nice thing is if you've got a smartphone, you can have your email come right down to your phone, and it makes checking it a lot easier. So awesome. Okay, moving on to Nick. Nick, I can see in Toby's background that there is snow on campus a few times a year. And I am not a fan of driving in the snow. If I want to go home for on breaks and I don't want to drive, is there an option for that so that I can avoid weather or just leaving my car here?
Yeah, that's a great question, Nick. So we have a way to get kids home for every academic break during the school year. So for fall break, winter break, and spring break, we have what we call our Vanlope Break Bus. It is a bus that we charter through Salt Lake Express. It goes from Moscow onto Boise and onto Idaho Falls and makes multiple stops along the way. The cost for that is very awesome and cost efficient. So a round trip to Boise is $135. So you're basically kind of covering the cost of gas this time. And then for onto Idaho Falls, $200 round trip. So it's basically covering the cost of gas. It's a great way to get home. It's a safe way to go home. You basically sit there riding with our Idaho students, occasionally a Washington State kid or an LCSC kid. We apologize if you don't like that, but mainly college kids, and it's a great way, like I said, to just sit there after finals or after a long week and just kind of get home safely and get you back.
That is fantastic to hear. And correct me if I'm wrong, those run during fall break around the Thanksgiving holiday. Winter break and spring break?
Yeah, so for example, for Thanksgiving break, it'll leave the Saturday before Thanksgiving and it'll bring you back the Sunday afterwards. So you get that whole week to enjoy with your family and friends.
That is excellent to hear. And, it's nice to know that there's a safe alternative to driving home, in snow or blizzard conditions that you can, take advantage of while you're here.
Absolutely.
Okay. Eldon, question about the market. You had mentioned the seamless checkout method. Does that mean that there's nobody there overseeing the store?
No, we do have people in the store that are going to be there to help people out and stuff, but we don't have a traditional cashier or cash register situation. We have the Mastion, which does, kind of that new technology feature, which is there for convenience and to help students get on their way. But we will have someone on the premise between there and Trueburger. They kind of are open together, just also for students to know they're safe and there's, someone around. So, if you need to go 10 p.m. and get a Mountain Dew and some Doritos for some late night studying, you can do it, and you can just wave to that person or just check out and dip. Pun intended, I guess you could say, with the chips. But it's a pretty fun experience. I think that's one of the superpowers of the University of Idaho is there's a lot of convenience in different food situations, dining experiences, no matter the occasion or situation on campus. So
excellent. That is great to hear. Okay, Daniel, I've got a tough question for you. So sounds like we've got a couple of transfer students that are going to be hoping to live with us, and they are currently on a wait list for that. Can you talk a little bit about the wait list, how that works, how fast does it rotate through, and then are there any other options on campus?
Yeah, so for our non-first year students, so if you're transferring in and all of that, and you're on the wait list, that's a great first step, is making sure you're on that wait list. We send an update every week, letting you know kind of if your placement has changed on the wait list, and kind of what your options are. If you are placed off the wait list, you'll get an email from us with basically a room offer saying, hey, you've been assigned to this room. If you're good with it, go back into your application and complete the steps to accept that space. So important to be checking your email so you don't miss that that offer, because we do put a date that we need you to reply by so that we can continue to offer placements off the wait list. We do look at that every week to see what rooms have opened up and who we can place off the list. So typically we're able to place a pretty decent amount off the wait list. Every year we've placed everyone off the wait list, or if someone has canceled, we get them off the wait list. So your placement will shift. Usually about every couple of days or so, your placement will shift. So just really make sure you're checking that email for any updates on your wait list or offer placement. If you're still wanting some on-campus housing, you do have the option to apply for some of our on-campus apartments. So we do have some new apartments coming online this fall. So brand new, it's called Vandal Village. And so it's open to anyone who's essentially going to be a sophomore and above for the coming year. So we have some dedicated buildings that will be for that population of students. We also have some that will be dedicated to some graduate students. If you're also going to be coming in as a law or WAMI student, we have a building dedicated for that population of students as well. And then the last one would be for families. So if you're married and coming in to the University of Idaho, or if you are if you have dependents, you are still welcome to apply for those apartments. We've been offering those apartments fairly quickly. So again, that is an option. If you haven't already applied for an apartment and you're eligible to apply for that, you'll just log into the housing portal, click on apply for housing, and then instead of residence application, you'll do the apartment housing application. And then again, as you get on that list, our assignments team will process through those and then offer you a place on in the apartment. So we've been working on getting those Vandal Village apartments fairly new. The nice thing about those apartments is they're fully furnished. They're new. The pricing includes everything, so you don't have to worry about utilities, anything like that. That's all inclusive of that price there. We have some photos online on our website for you to take a look at. If you are close to Moscow or coming to Moscow for a campus visit, you are more than welcome to take a tour of those apartments as well. But yeah, if you have any specific questions about those apartments or anything else about your waitlist, feel free to reach out to us and we can give you some more information on that.
Excellent. And Daniel, just a little bit of a follow-up. We have an individual who is over the age of 21 or 21 and older. What is the live-on requirement? Are they required to fill out an exemption form if they are above that live-in requirement?
Yeah, so we typically still recommend that you fill out that form just to make sure that we have that on file for you in case there's any questions later on. But yeah, typically if you're over the age of 21 and coming into the University of Idaho as a first-year student, so a freshman, then most of the time you're automatically eligible for that live-on exemption. You'll still just want to send that over to the Dean of Students office so they have that, and we have you basically noted as having that live-on exemption. If you think you might qualify for other criteria of that live-on exemption, you can find the form through the Dean of Students office. So usually if you go to the U of I website, search for live-on requirement, you can find that information there. But yeah, typically if you're over the age of 21, we'd still love to have you in the residence halls. But if you are worried or anything like that, definitely go through that process. And if you haven't heard back, typically they try to process those as quickly as they can. Depends on kind of their workload. But you can always follow up by emailing askjoe@uidaho.edu, and they'll typically get back to you fairly quickly. Yeah.
Toby, I'm gonna move to you next. Is cooking possible in the dorms? Or is it not allowed? Is it allowed? That sort of thing.
Short answer is yes. All of our buildings have cooking facilities in the LLCs except the tower. So in the LLCs, that's split up between one for every building. In Wallace, it's one for the entire Wallace complex. And in McConnell, it's one kitchen for the entire McConnell complex.
Okay, excellent. Okay, next question is going to be, for Eldon. Eldon, where, if somebody's got needs to get a meal plan and are currently living in the residence halls, where can they sign up for a meal plan?
The My U of I portal, and you'll have your different options that you can choose from. Like I said, I think the biggest regret is people wish that they underestimate what they'll do. So just really take into consideration, we have plans for everyone, for any circumstances. You're not going to go hungry here on campus. It's just really look into what's going to work for you. Use the portal, and you'll be able to sign up, use your Vandal ID, and then your Vandal card will be loaded, and you'll be able to come into the eatery and our other dining locations.
Okay. And then, Daniel, I'm going to go ahead and have you post in the chat how they can sign up for housing and a meal plan, because it's all kind of combined. And then that way people can get that. And then I'm going to go ahead and answer this question while Daniel's typing that in. So we've got a student coming from out of state, and they would like to send some Amazon purchases ahead of time. So during the summer, a little bit closer to move-in, you will actually receive an email through your Vandal email that's going to have your mailing address, and that's your unique mailing address that'll have how to put your name on it, how to put your building. It'll have what's called a mail stop code, so that when we receive the mail, it'll get to send to your specific mailing address, and then you'll get an email saying, "Oh, you've got mail to come pick up while you're at school." But after you receive that mail, you can actually start having your Amazon purchases or any other items shipped ahead of you. Okay. And it looks like we've got one question left. There's technically two. Emily is responding to one right now. I can see her typing. But in the other one, the last question that we're going to answer before allowing you to move on is going to be if the Vandal Village apartments are applicable for individuals who are wanting to live off campus. Are they required to live in the on-campus apartments?
Yeah, so it depends on if you're going to be a sophomore or above standing. So as far as credits and all of that go, as long as you meet the criteria to live in those apartments, then yes, you would be eligible to apply for those. However, if you're going to be an incoming first-year student, so a freshman coming straight from high school, and you receive an exemption to live off campus, while we would love to have you living with us on campus, unfortunately, those units aren't open to freshman first-year students, but the residence halls are definitely eligible for that population.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, I would like to thank everybody for joining us here today. If you have any more questions, please feel free to send an email to housing@uidaho.edu, and we will have somebody get back to you in the next couple of days. If you have a question that's burning tonight, feel free to jump into our second Q&A that'll be taking place here at 7:15, and anybody can join that again using one of the links that you were provided in the main UIdaho Bound session. Otherwise, feel free to jump into another session, and thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to our panelists. And I just want to say, go Vandals! This one is going to be for Daniel. Daniel, if somebody wants to sign up for a residence hall and they have not done so yet, where can they do that?
Yeah, so if you've been admitted to U of I, you set up your accounts and everything already, you'll want to head over to iwanthousing.uidaho.edu, and then you'll click the yellow single sign-on button. You'll log in. It should say, welcome, your name, and then you'll click on apply for housing. And then from there, you'll click on residence application, and then you'll start your application or continue your application if you've already started it. And then basically just follow the steps to complete your application. You'll select your room within that. You'll sign your agreement. You'll pick your meal plan. Let us know approximately when you plan on arriving to campus for move-in in the fall. and then just some other important information for you to keep in mind. And then you should be all set. Once you're done with your application and all that stuff, you should see a congratulations page on there. If you haven't seen that yet, it means you haven't finished your application. So make sure that you get to that congratulations page. And then after all of that, you'll then see a My Housing tab at the end of it, and that'll have some additional information there for you, which we'll probably talk about here in a little bit.
Excellent. Thank you, Daniel. Okay, next question is going to be for Nick with parking. Nick, if a student is planning to live on campus, walk to classes, and they want to bring their car, is there a location where they can park that vehicle that's not going to be, necessarily right next to the residence halls, but is there kind of an option that they can do that where they're not going to be driving their car all the time?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a permit that's called our economy permit. It's on the west end of campus out by the Kibbe Dome and on perimeter. It's $135 for the whole school year. And what's great is it's a nice, affordable way to have a spot to have your car parked on campus so if you don't need it very often, maybe a couple weekends here or there, or if you need to drive home for academic breaks because you live a bit further away. It's a great way to have a car on campus without having it close by.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, next question for Eldon. Eldon, it looks like we have somebody who is following dining already on social media. And they were wondering if you could talk about the First Year Eats program that Idaho Eats does.
Yeah, so we do a lot of programs, including First Year Eats, where you're able to have experiences with dining and have those unique situations with your friends and meeting new people, getting comfortable on campus. First Year Eats is one of those for freshmen, though sometimes we do let other, people in as well, because we do get people that are excited about that. But we have specialized eating and dining from our Michelin star chef, unique experiences where you get to taste foods that you won't have in the dining hall, and pop-up spots on campus where you'll be able to try food out or win prizes. And First Year Eats is just a big part of that, with having that programming and experiences with food.
Yeah, I know one of my favorites that I saw this year was a cool hot chocolate event where they, got to come and build your own hot chocolate. There were a lot of extra additives to it. So it's really a neat program. Thank you. Okay, question for Toby. We've got a student whose parents, it looks like, received a letter from something called RHA about purchasing a linen pack. Can you talk a little bit about the linen packs as well as what is RHA?
Yes. So the linen packs are sort of like a, first year you're moving into the dorms, and those are going to get you set up for setting up your bed, setting up your room, right? They're going to have bedding and blankets and that kind of thing, so you can, sleep comfortably in the dorm rooms. And then RHA specifically is the, student government for the residence halls. And so that is, for people like you living in the dorms, wanting to improve the community, put on events, advocate for your space. It's a great leadership opportunity. It's excellent if you're interested in becoming a student staff member, or if you just want to sort of promote the community and build a lasting impact on the home that we all live in. So highly, highly recommend RHA. I've got the branding on right now. So it's a fantastic program.
Awesome. Thank you, Toby. And Daniel, a question for you. Once somebody has selected a room in the housing portal, is there a way they can change that room right now if they need to?
Yeah, so if you're a first-year student, you can go back into your housing application. So just click that continue button within the residence hall application portion of it. And then on that congratulations page that we talked about a little bit ago, you should see a button that says room swap or room change. Click that, and that will take you into the page that explains that process. Essentially, what it allows you to do is kind of shop around for other available spaces. If you're looking to change your community, so let's say you initially selected a room in the class community, so College of Letters, Arts, and Social Sciences, but you met a friend at an event or at UIdaho Bound or tonight, and they're living in, let's say, the tower on one of those floors there, and you really want to live together. It'll allow you to change your community preference to whatever they've selected, as long as you're eligible for that. So academic traditional is a good one if you're kind of both living in different communities but want to live together. Choose academic traditional, and then that'll show you available spaces that we have in our residence halls that you or the two of you, if you're looking to live with another roommate, can swap into essentially. So it holds your current room for you while you shop around for those spaces, and you don't lose your previous room until you click confirm on that new room. So you're never going to be without a booking within the residence halls with us. So unless you fully cancel your application with us, but that allows you to do that. If you miss the window to do room swap, which typically closes around the start of July or late June, as we prepare for move-in and your charges and all of that for the semester, we will open up room changes for the semester, typically about 2 weeks after the semester starts. So that allows us to kind of see who's all here, what spaces we have available, and then you can submit a room change request form through the housing portal once that opens, and then we process those on a weekly basis.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. Nick, question for you. So I know that on the website it talks about bikes a little bit and getting your bikes registered. Do students need to register their bikes, and how does that work, and what are the benefits to doing that through parking?
So you don't necessarily need to register your bike. However, I would highly, highly encourage you to register your bike. That process is basically you bring your bike down to our office. We have you fill out a quick form, get some of the basic information about your bike, your serial number, make, model, all that kind of stuff. And what we do is we give you a little sticker that's like a little license plate, and then we send that information over to the Moscow Police Department. So if your bike were to get lost, stolen, or someone were to seriously jack up your bike, you've got record, we've got record, and MPD has record. So it's just a great way for more than just yourself, keeping an eye out for your bike to keep it kind of more safe and secure as much as possible.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, next question for Toby. Toby, what is an RA? We've got somebody who's not quite sure what it is. It's a term that's been thrown around quite a bit in other locations. What is an RA?
What a great question. So an RA is a resident assistant. Essentially, it's a live-on peer whose job is to make sure you're safe, answer questions about housing, and like cultivate a community on your floor. For these freshman communities, they're going to be a sophomore or above, someone who's already been through the process, gotten a year or two under their belt, and then is going to help you along with like the common pitfalls of college. And also, if you have questions about, hey, what's the policy here? Hey, this, that, and the other things happening with my roommate. Can you help me? Resident assistants are there to step in and, sort of facilitate conversations, answer any questions, and then connect you with the right people as well. So they're both like peer, friend, mentor, and also there for your safety.
Excellent. Okay, and next question for Eldon. Eldon, it looks like we've got somebody who's got some dietary restrictions. Is there anybody that they can talk to before they get to campus about dietary needs?
Yeah, on our Dine on Campus website, you can get the email and request dietary accommodations. We're able to do specialized meals for the most extreme cases. We're also able to, from our Delicious Without station in the eatery, is free of the top 9 allergens, food allergens. So we will have you covered. We literally, from vegans, vegetarians, to people that are allergic to nuts, any of this stuff, right? That's the top ones there. We can get you taken care of, and it's done via email, and we connect you with our dietitian, who then connects with our kitchen, and we're able to, in some of those extreme cases, a chef will bring you out your food when you come visit, and we'll make sure that it's safe for you and has not been contaminated with any of the allergens that you might be allergic to.
Awesome. As somebody who has a nut allergy, I love eating down in the eatery and, being able to avoid any of those allergens, and things are, labeled really well, and just, a great place to eat, or, talk to a dietitian and see what those needs are. Okay, Daniel, can you talk to me about floor plans? Are they available anywhere?
So we have some basic floor plans available on our website. So if you just head over to uidaho.edu/housing and click on residence halls, you'll be able to see some sample floor plans of kind of what the room configurations typically look like, what's in the room. There's some dimensions in there as well. If you're needing some more specific on the dimensions, you can reach out to our office, have some guides that we can send over to you. If you haven't already been able to find that. But yeah, so just kind of the basics are on the website there for you.
But there's no like floor plans of the entire floor, correct?
Unfortunately not. So we don't typically release those out or have them readily available, just more for the safety of our students. So we don't, but again, if you're in the office, we can show you a sample one if you need it.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, question for Eldon. Somebody has been on campus and seen those little white robots riding around everywhere. What's up with those robots?
So the robots are really fun. It's just another great addition to what we do at dining on campus in terms of we have convenience, we have, our dining hall, we have our retail locations, then we have these robots, and these robots, you're able to order food. You could do it in class. I wouldn't recommend doing that. Pay attention. But if you have a little 5-10 minute break or something, you can use the app and order Einstein's bagels or Qdoba. And then the Starship robot will meet you outside the doors of that building. You can get your food and you can go. So it's all about convenience. And I just think it's really cool to see those things going around. But they're delivering food and from our retail locations, which is really awesome.
And what's really cool about them is if it asks you to rate in the app after you get your food, and it'll say thank you if you give it a 5-star rating, which is kind of fun. It'll also sing the Vandal Fight song when it delivers your food, which is neat.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, question for Toby. Toby, what are the extracurricular type stuff in like the lounges in Wallace, for instance? I know a lot of the buildings have different features, but can you talk specifically about Wallace?
Yes, I would love to. That's my building. I'd love to talk about Wallace. So the lounge spaces in Wallace, there's a couple different ways it's set up, basically. Every floor has a lounge. So whether you're on like whatever, Wiley 6th, you're going to have the Wiley 6th lounge. And then each of those lounge spaces, typically, they all have a TV. They're all going to have some couches. And then some of them have like a foosball table. Some of them have like an air hockey table. Some of them have like a piano. It sort of depends lounge by lounge. But the TLDR is that all of those floors have a lounge. But then smash cut to the bottom of Wiley, or Wallace in general, you have the basement. And so the basement is sort of a communal space for the entire residence center, and that has several smaller sort of breakaway kind of conference study room areas, a couple alcoves with TVs there, and then a pool table and a ping pong table. And so it's super common to see folks down there like playing pool, doing ping pong, studying, whatever. And so that's sort of the communal Wallace extracurricular space.
I know one of my favorite things to see, just because I love playing video games, is when you'll get 4 or 5 different TVs going throughout the halls playing Mario Kart or something like that with each other. It's just kind of a fun activity. I know there's just a lot of games that'll happen like that.
Totally.
Okay. Nick, question for you. Somebody is worried they're not going to be, around their parents once they move in. Can you talk to me a little bit? What happens if somebody, locks themselves out of their car or is having issue with a tire or something like that?
That is a great question. So the parking office offers what we call pick-through services. And as long as you're on campus, we can provide one of the following. We can do jump starts, we can do vehicle unlocks, we can do air in your tire. We can't change the tire for you, we can get you some air to get you out to Meineke or Les Schwab, where you need to go. And then if it's, snowmageddon's happened and you need help some traction, we can go out there with a shovel, sand, kind of get you some gravel to kind of help get you out of your space. And just one way to kind of help keep Idaho moving, keeping vandals moving, is we provide those services for free if you're on campus.
That pit crew service is very invaluable, and it's a great number to keep around after you move in, and so anywhere on campus. That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Daniel, question for you about roommates. So, where do students meet potential roommates? They've got a roommate. Can you choose your own roommate? Are you assigned roommates? And what happens if your roommate decides to use that room swap feature and switch rooms or something like that? Will you get another one?
Yeah, definitely. So, a little bit of both happens. So, for the most part, students will choose their own roommates. So you're selecting your room, which means you're kind of also looking at who's in there, or you're coordinating with someone else to share that space with. If you have a roommate initially and then you don't have a roommate, more than likely you'll get a new roommate. So as room selection continues to happen, people will kind of slide themselves into an open spot there. You can always look at their profile, see their bios if they wrote one about themselves, and reach out to them. Their email will be listed within that, and then from there you can share additional contact information with them. If you're currently in a space without a roommate and you're hoping to, find someone to room with, if you aren't already using Zimi, which most of your admissions team have probably already talked about, but Zimi is a good place to reach out to other potential students coming in and see who might still be looking for a roommate, whether they're already applied for housing or if they're still looking at housing options. That's a good way to reach out and say, hey, this is who I am, this is my major or what I'm studying, here's where I have my room. If you're interested in rooming together, shoot me a message and you can kind of coordinate that way.
Excellent. And kind of tag teaming with Toby here. Toby, can you talk about the roommate agreement that they fill out when they move in?
Yes. So this is a super important part of living with another person, is setting some boundaries and some ground rules, especially because you're in a dorm room, right? There's not a wall between you and your roommate. You guys are right there next to each other. So when you move in, we strongly encourage you guys to set a roommate agreement. So that lays out hey, when do you want to go to bed? When do you want to study, right? How many guests can you have over? What's the personal property sort of expectations? And so once you have that in, it makes it incredibly easy for the RAs or the other people in housing or you guys to have a conversation about, hey, this is what we agreed on. Why are we violating this? What's going on here? And so that is super helpful for roommates to be on the same page about their expectations with each other. And also when those expectations are, we run some conflict, to have a conversation that hopefully solves that conflict.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. Eldon, talk to me about food in the eatery. What are some of the best features that students can look forward to?
I think one that I was actually just thinking of is our Aussie Box program, which you can, sometimes you want to study, you need to get your food, you want to go back to your dorm, or maybe it's just too hectic, too many people, you want to eat quietly. Sometimes it happens to me. You get a little coin when you move in that you can use to exchange for an Aussie Box, these green boxes in the eatery, and you can go grab your meal to go, put it in the box, go to your dorm room, study with friends, go solo, and then the next day you bring it back and you can put it on our belt to go get cleaned and get a new one. I think that's one of the coolest features is you can get, the food to go, and this isn't just typical cafeteria food. We have really great food. So one day you could be doing, pulled pork or brisket and taking it back to your dorm, or it could be Mongolian grill, or it could be, the pizza looks good tonight and they did cheeseburger pizza or something crazy, or barbecue chicken quesadillas. It's there's a lot of variety. I think that's a strength, as well as being able to take it to go. So I think that's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. Daniel, can you talk to me about heating and air conditioning within the residence halls?
Yeah, so depends on where you're going to be living. So as some of you may know, we've recently done some renovations to some of our buildings. So started with the upper floors in the tower, our Stevenson wing, and then Ballard wing will be completed by this coming fall. So in those spaces, there you actually have some control of the temperature in your room, which is a nice added feature, and a lot of students have welcomed that to cool or heat up their room as needed. Some of our other spaces, they'll be in the process of getting updated, so can't quite control the temperature necessarily with that, but for spaces like the unrenovated floors of Wallace, for McConnell, and LSCs and the unrenovated floors in the tower, always recommend bringing a fan with you. Actually recommend bringing a fan regardless of where you're living, just to help a little bit more of that control of your temperature. In the winter months, the heat is provided through our steam plant, which is nice. It definitely heats up those spaces. So if you're someone who gets cold fairly easily, you'll be perfectly comfortable in our residence halls. And our LLCs have, it's a non-traditional air conditioning style. So we call it a cool water chilling. Basically, it blows air through cold water to kind of cool down the spaces. So can't quite control the temperature as much as traditional air conditioning, but it does cool the rooms a little bit. And then in the summer months as well, that transitions over to heating for those spaces. So it does vary throughout our buildings, but we're in the process of getting a lot of our spaces updated, which is nice.
Awesome. Okay, next question for Nick. Nick, I know they're kind of the newest craze, having an e-bike or an e-scooter. Are they allowed in campus buildings, and do you recommend them for getting around?
So I would recommend using them for getting around. However, they are not allowed in campus buildings. So if you're needing to park your e-bike, make sure you park it at a bike rack outside. If you leave it in the underground storage for housing, we will get a phone call or an email, and we'll have to come and take your bike or a scooter out and take it over to the parking office, and you'll have to come down and see us. So if you want to use them, great, they're awesome. Just make sure you store them properly outside, because those batteries are harmful and dangerous on the inside.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. Next question is going to be for Toby. Toby, I know you're the resident director of Wallace. Can you talk a little bit about Ballard Wing? What's the layout? What are the rooms styled as? And where is laundry located?
Yes, all good questions. So Ballard, very exciting, is currently about to be done renovating. So it's going to be one of our brand new floors in the Wallace wing. The room set layout is a suite style. So what that means is there's basically 2 rooms on either side with a shared bathroom in the middle, sort of Jack and Jill doors, so people can kind of control the flow of traffic there. But basically 4 roommates sharing a single bathroom between them, where you have your roommate on one side and folks on the other. Our newest buildings have basically 2 primary layouts within the space. So there's the bunk bed arrangement, which provides a little bit more sort of floor space for people. And then there's the lofted bed arrangement, where we lift the beds up, separate them, and then you can place desk and storage items underneath them. So it's basically whether you like to have a little like dance floor in the middle of your dorm, or if you prefer to sort of hunker under your bed. But those are very cool. And again, the air conditioning that we mentioned before. And then the Ballard wings, similar to the Stevenson wings, have laundry every other floor. So there's units on the 2nd floor and the 4th floor. And so if you're on the 1st or 3rd, you can go, up a floor, down a floor in order to find those units to get your laundry done pretty much right there, which is super convenient for everyone.
Excellent. And Toby, sorry to keep you on the spot a little bit longer, but somebody was touring with us at a Meet the Vandals event and said they saw something about an app for the laundry rooms.
Yes, this is a kind of a big deal. I highly recommend the app. So what this does is, right, it's a shared laundry space between, everyone on the floor. In Ballard specifically, you're probably going to have about 2 to 3 floors sharing a single laundry space. It takes time to do your laundry. So you get an app and it tells you what the open machines are, how long those machines are there, what the maintenance looks like. And so you can be sitting in your dorm room, check your app. Oh, we've got a washer open. Let me go do my laundry right now. Or, oh, there's not a washer open right now, but in 15 minutes there's going to be one. Let me wait 15 minutes and then get in line. So it makes things a lot easier. It really smooths over the process of poking your head out every 5 minutes to see if the washing machine is done. Yeah, it's great.
Excellent. Okay, and a question for Eldon now. So Eldon, we've got a student here that's curious. They're going to be, they saw that parent and family weekend is going to be, each semester, and they want their parents to come and enjoy things. Is there anywhere fancier that they can take their parents for, just a fun dining experience?
Yeah, I'd say the Lookout restaurant by the golf course is famous and known for its views. Great shot at the Palouse, the rolling hills, and an elevated food experience with some great food. Great, if your parents are into golf, they might try to go out there as well. But it's a great spot right behind the Kibbe Dome if you just keep going, and you can get some great food there.
Excellent. Thank you. I love eating at the Lookout with the views, and just the food is fantastic. It's, that fine dining on campus, which is nice. Okay. Daniel, question for you. Can you talk a little bit about pricing? If somebody's in a renovated space versus an unrenovated space, or in Wallace where you're going to start out in a renovated or in a non-renovated space and then move over to a renovated space. Can you talk a little bit about the pricing for that?
Yeah, so it does depend on whether you're going to be in one of our renovated spaces in Stevenson or Ballard. Those will be at a little bit of a increase in price, just to be in an updated space, new furniture, new flooring, all that fun stuff. And then if you're in an unrenovated space, but moving over to a renovated space, so if you're going to be in the Wiley wing for the fall semester, you'll have the fortune of moving over to Gooding in the spring semester, which will be a renovated space. So that one isn't quite at the level of the fully renovated space. So you're kind of starting out in one, moving over to the other. So isn't quite as high, so it's a little bit less. So you get the perks of being getting into a renovated space at a slightly reduced rate, which is nice. And same with like the tower. For our floors that aren't renovated, it'll be at a slightly reduced rate. And then if you're in a renovated floor, it'll be at that renovated pricing. So there are some differences. If you want more specifics, you can check out our website, and that will specifically list it out there for you.
Excellent. Okay, and it looks like we are right at the end of our webinar. I know that this is the last thing that's part of the UIdaho Bound, Virtual UIdaho Bound session. So we've got, it looks like 4 questions left, so we're going to do kind of a little bit of a speed round to answer these questions. The first one is going to be for Nick. Nick, are there any bike hazards around campus like goat head weeds or other things that can damage your bike? And can you also mention about the spaces to fix your bikes?
So I can answer about the damages to bikes. Most of the time, most of the year, bikes are extremely safe. The only time we recommend using extra cautions if you are those type of people that like to bike during the wintertime, just watch out for black ice and the stuff that they put on the roads and on the sidewalks can potentially damage like your bike chain and everything. So just make sure you're staying on top of that. That's for like fixing bikes. That's not quite my wheelhouse, so I'm not quite sure where to send people for that. We just recommend sending an email if you have questions about that to parking@uidaho.edu, and we can get that answered to the best of our abilities.
Excellent. And the places I was specifically referring to is throughout campus, there's a few, bike fixing stations where you can stop and put some air in your tire.
Oh yeah, the air and tires, there's a couple different spots. One's by the steam plant, and the other one is
kind of right near, there's kind of a quad area near some of the agriculture.
By the quad, yeah.
Yep. Okay, 3 questions left here. Daniel, for new student orientation, do students move into their rooms while guests stay in town?
Yeah, so if you are coming in for move-in and you have mom, dad, grandma, aunt, uncle coming with you, they'll probably want to stay in a hotel or Airbnb type situation. So they can certainly help you move into your space on move-in day. And all that fun stuff, but it'll probably get a little bit cramped in your room with you and your roommate, suite mates, all that stuff if they try to stay with you. But yeah, they're more than welcome to stick around for orientation if they would like to. Some like to stay throughout the weekend and just kind of get settled. But it's really up to you and whoever you're coming with or moving.
Excellent. And there's 2 questions left here. I'll answer one of them, and it looks like Emily is typing an answer to the other question that's in there. So the last question that we'll answer live is going to be talking about apps. Daniel mentioned the Zemi app, as well as Toby mentioned the Laundry app. Are there any other apps that you should download for the University of Idaho? There aren't really any specific apps, but we do recommend following Housing and Residence Life, as well as Parking and Transportation on either Facebook, and Idaho Eats on either Facebook or Instagram. And each of those are a great place to start getting used to what you're going to see activities-wise or any notifications that are going to be popping up. And those are just some great options to do that. So just want to thank everybody here for joining us. Daniel's going to put, if you have any more questions, how to ask any more questions in the chat, housing@uidaho.edu. And we just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you to all of our panelists for being here, and just want to say, go Vandals.